attacks at high altitude already, whilst Remco Evenepoel comes a cropper in the finish.
It's a bit breaking my balls now.
Stage 3 from Surya up to Arinsal in Andorra. They do the Col Ordino first, so it is actually a more difficult stage than it appears, with Ordino being up to 2,000 meters and 17 k's of climbing before 8 k's 8% to 1,900 here at Arinsal. Cold at the finish, but not too bad. In fact, better than the heat wave we had here last week. Reasonably strong breakaway in the end, with Caruso and Kamna the favourites from that. And not Ineos, they had Castro there, don't know if he did pull, but it was Quick-Step for Remco and Jumbo for Roglic and Vingegaard, mainly controlling that breakaway. They didn't bring it back the whole way, and when they crossed the border, it was at 3:30 as they began the drag up to, it's uncategorized, a lot of the climbing in Andorra, but all of this is 2% that Van Baarle is on here, and then it gets steeper where Suterlin, he was pulling, Caruso did a great job in the breakaway, and now when they turn left, this climb is horrible, that climb past the serve up to Canillo. Now when they turn left, the quote-unquote Ordino proper climb starts, and they did it at a good pace today. Hessing pacing, but DSM were interested with Chris Hamilton, I believe, pacing, and Bardet and Poole just behind him. I don't think it was for Poole GC, and I don't think it was to keep the jersey from Caruso, Kamna, or Sepulveda, the three who went clear from the break. But here, Jay Vine, we didn't see exactly, but it looks like he attacked with Bardet on the wheel and Kelderman following. So UAE trying to do some things even on the penultimate climb, with Baggioli, the man elected to respond from Quick-Step, and then Gersink chasing him. And when Vine sees he's got some Jumbos in the wheel and Gersink chasing, he parks it. And yeah, it was a good pace to the top, but Bardet goes again with, this is 1k to a little dipper. There's actually some recovery at the end of this climb, and Kelderman responds for Jumbo. So already teams, particularly Jumbo and UAE, trying to use numbers, testing the others, and with Kelderman going across to Bardet, now Quick-Step have to respond. But they were all around Remco today, actually, right until probably the last 3 kilometers. Caruso tries to get rid of Kamna and attacks him on the descent, which it was drying. Like, it didn't rain too much today, just a little bit, but it was wet in parts, and there's a lot of tree cover on the Ordino descent. Some of the road surface is straight and really good, like this, which they've just redone, actually. But then some at the end, particularly when you hit the last houses, there's a lot of potholes or manhole covers or even sort of chip seal where the road's gone away. But luckily, no issues at all. Quick-Step took front position. They went down here through La Massana, where there's probably the only flat K in the last, 40 Ks of this stage. And it looked like UAE and Jumbo had pulled up stumps, that they were happy to let Caruso and Kamna go clear, with Kamna not happy with Caruso's commitment. But with 6Ks to go is where it actually gets really steep through the village of Arinsal, and then they sort of go around a big hairpin where it gets even steeper here. And now we're getting up to 1,700 meters. Caruso eventually does start pulling. The gap's at 136. Whether that was true or not, we'll never know, because Jay Vine starts pulling, and the organisers, or the broadcast, hides the case to go and the time gap. We'll never see that again. But where's Geraint Thomas? We see his helmet, I think, behind Vlasov and Jan Uiterbrooks, and he didn't have a good day, losing 50 seconds on what wasn't the most ferocious pace on the climb overall. Vine did a good job putting people on the limit, but he himself finished on 10 seconds after pulling. Kamna goes clear, finally releasing Caruso, and we didn't really know where he was, but Caruso was our yardstick. We were wondering when would Vine catch him, and Thomas, as you can see, struggling at the back, with actually the Quick-Step riders beginning to drop too, and Juan Ayuso delivered the goods today. Put his team on the front to pace. He's followed by Vingegaard, but everyone's looking back. Ayuso looks back, Kuss looks back, sees Remco or Roglic is behind him, and he closes Vingegaard. This was somewhat curious, I thought, during this stage, because it's Remco's job to follow Jonas Vingegaard, but Kuss through the corner closes the gap to Vingegaard, and Roglic closes the gap for Remco to Kuss wheel. So Remco really wasn't put under any quote-unquote pressure or 2-liter threat pressure on this climb, even though he doesn't have any teammates at this point, because even when Kuss attacks here, and he's going for the stage win most likely, there were never going to be big GC gaps from the top guys in this stage. But Ayuso looks under the shoulder, sees Soler, and the top guys, they're not going to mark 3 Jumbo guys. Roglic, Vingegaard, okay, but they let Kuss go, and yeah, Ayuso and UAE prefer actually to have Soler attack across himself. He was very, very strong today, Marc Soler, at bridging across to Kuss, and now we see That 140, if it was ever true, has evaporated to Kamna, and it's Jan Uiterbroeks actually for Bora closing down the Soler and Koos group. I'm not sure if Evenepoel had to pull at all, but he's followed the wheels, was patient. Even when Soler goes again, it's Sepp Kuss now who's got the responsibility to chase. Kamna's been caught, and we're coming up to the sprint finish. It levels off a little bit here. Soler's closed down by the Eagle of Durango. And you can see that Vingegaard, Remco, and Roglic, they're all in a huddle just deeper in the field, and Remco decides to move up here. Roglic is boxed in a little bit by Uiterbroeks, and Ayuso sees Remco too, and we've got a series of twisty corners coming up. Remco moves up in the wind himself, does the first check here, sees Vingegaard, no Roglic. Ayuso tries to moves over the top of Roglic, and now Remco checks to his left again. And now Marc Soler sees Ayuso, says, "I'll give you a lead out, buddy." And as he does that, Remco launches. And obviously he's going to sprint quicker than Soler, who's just attacked twice. And that creates a gap, with Vingegaard getting to Remco's wheel, or barely, Soler dropping the wheel through the corner, and also Remco being too damn strong. Evenepoel winning the stage, but going down hard straight afterwards. We hadn't seen what happened. He goes straight and it was impossible to see. They were supposed to turn right there. Hits a soigneur, goes down really hard, blood pouring out of his head. They can laugh about it now, but here's what happened. And you can actually see how Roglic was boxed in a little bit, and then he has to split the gap between Mas and Soler to get to Ayuso's wheel. But maybe, if you have better legs, often when you have better legs, you can position yourself better too. Remco wins handily. He put Vingegaard on a second, and it actually starts to descend a little bit here, just at the finish, and he only puts his hands back on the handlebars about here, which isn't too late. It's like a second after the finish, and what you can't see is that they're supposed to go right, and it's almost impossible to see from the angle he was coming on. He goes straight, and then all the, whatever they are, police, journalists, soigneurs, they closed this little gap here that I got the arrow pointing to, and there wasn't much runoff. It was downhill as well for Evenepoel, so another unfortunate happenstance in the final of this stage. It was very difficult for those riders to probably see that they were supposed to turn right there. Hopefully it doesn't affect Evenepoel too much. He looked a little bit shaky going up the steps to the truck, but that could just be his cleats too. And round one to him in the mountains, ahead of the Jumbo-Visma duo, winning the stage, ahead of Vingegaard, Ayuso, Roglic, Soler, Mas, Lenny Martinez, a nice result, then Uiterbroeks, Almeida, Vlasov, Kelderman, all on the same time.
Some things of safety. It was only 50 meters after the finish line. It's already the third in a row. It's a bit breaking my balls now.
Remco Rojo is back, goes into the GC lead. For how long? They might try and give it away by 5 seconds out of Mas and 11 seconds out of Martinez. But I hope you enjoyed the video. First sprint stage tomorrow, Caden Groves, Coquard, Milano, looking on for that. Make sure you subscribe down below, and I'll see you with the recap tomorrow. Ciao.